This video is brought to you by my two books, Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist and The Blues Guitar Bible. Want to learn about modes, harmony, scales, chord substitution and keys? Or maybe you're interested in supercharging your blues guitar rhythm and lead chops. Whatever you're interested in, I guarantee you will be hitting the fast lane to progress with either of these works. Both feature video demonstrations and tutorials, loads of tabs and jam tracks to play along with, and I promise you, everything is explained in crystal clear plain English. Check out the links in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now, a few months ago, I think it'll be by the time this video goes out, I did one of these Top 5 Tuesday videos where I was talking about the music that I listened to before I got into blues, before I had that magical light bulb moment of discovering the 12-bar form, and from that it led me in a couple of different directions. One was the sort of jazz avenue, and the other was the classic rock avenue. And some of that music that I listened to back before I had my blues revelation, if you like, still stays with me today. And I thought that's what I do to talk about today, is just drill down a little bit further as sort of a follow-up to that original video, and talk about the 5 early 80s rock and roll or rockabilly songs that I still get a lot of pleasure out of listening to today, starting with
Midnight Dynamos by Matchbox.
Yes, not to be confused with the band Matchbox 20. This is a band called Matchbox, and I believe they're still treading the boards and probably doing summer seasons at Butlins or whatever these days. They had a string of hits in the UK in the early 80s. Midnight Dynamos is one of them. If you're not familiar with it, then I've linked all of these tracks down in the description, so go and check them out. So yes, they had a string of hits: Rockabilly Rebel, Midnight Dynamos, Babes in the Wood, Buzz Buzz a Diddle It, When You Talk About Love. They were kind of regularly, occupying maybe kind of the middle portion of the top 40, shall we say. They had a couple of tracks that were a bit more successful than that, but I just like them. They're just good foot-stomping, catchy rock and roll. And if I say good foot-stomping, catchy rock and roll again in this video, then don't be the least bit surprised, because it applies to pretty much all of these tracks. So let's see what's next.
Rockabilly Guy by the Polecats.
Yeah, the Polecats. These were sort of marketed as a little bit of a UK alternative to the Stray Cats. There was just something a little bit dangerous and edgy about the Polecats, though. There was just something a bit weird about them. Boz Boorer, the guitarist, later went on to become sort of the right-hand man of Morrissey, I believe. So that's probably why I haven't listened to much of his output in recent years. Draw your own conclusions. But yes, just a great, what did I say earlier? Foot-stomping, catchy rock and roll tune. The thing a lot of these bands used to do was they would always have the big sort of double bass thing on stage. I'm not sure how many of them recorded with it, because it's not necessarily the easiest thing to record. It's just sometimes easy just to pick up a precision bass, isn't it? But actually, there's one band on this list who we're going to be looking at essentially a live recording of them, and you can see that they are still, the bass player is still using the old bull fiddle to lay down the bottom end. But yeah, just a great sort of up-tempo rock and roll, all of these tracks, and these are the ones that, I mean, it's amazing now when you think that when you listen to this, that it's the kind of music that was in the top 40, 40 odd years ago. But there you go, how times change. Next,
Rock This Town by the Stray Cats.
No list of early 80s rockabilly stuff would be complete without this band and this track. To be honest, I think I prefer Stray Cat Strut, which was the follow-up single to Rock This Town, but that's not really part of the genre. That was very much my sort of awakening to jazz, really. I didn't realise it was jazz at the time, but it's kind of augmented chords and whole tone scales and all kind of spicy goodness going on in that track, so it's hard to think what else to call it. But if we're talking about just pure rockabilly, then you just have to kind of think this was like the top of the pile, really, for this music. I wore out my 7-inch vinyl single of this, and then I got the album, which had an extended longer edit of the song on it, and it was just, I kind of listened to it again and again and again, and just discovered that they weren't quite the straight up rockabilly band that I thought they were. There's tracks on there like Storm the Embassy and Rumble in Brighton that have got a little bit more of a punky, aggressive edge to them, and it took me a while, but I really did sort of get into that, kind of hearing a guitar that had a distorted amp tone. I think that was probably one of my gateway drugs into that world of hearing an overdriven guitar as well. So yeah, this is a great track. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but if not, as I say, they're all linked down in the description. What's next?
Yes Tonight, Josephine, by the Jets.
Now this band here, they only had a couple of hits in the UK. There was Love Makes the World Go Round, and this one, Yes Tonight, Josephine, and I prefer this one actually. 3-piece band made up of 3 lads, all with the same surname. They're 3 brothers, the Cotton Brothers. Their first album, I don't know if they did any others, but the album of theirs that I had was called 100% Cotton. And what did I say at in one of the earlier descriptions? Good, foot-stomping, catchy rock and roll. Well, yes, that applies to this as well. The link that I put down in the description for this one is not from way back in the early 80s. This one comes from a few years ago when we were all sort of, compelled to stay in our places of residence for whatever reason. And, they were, doing that kind of thing that a lot of bands did back then, where they would sort of do remote collaborations. And, this still sounds just as good. This was probably, the reason I chose this version of it to link down below, it's probably the best audio quality version of it I could find, rather than just some grainy top of the pops performance of them miming it from 40 odd years ago. I thought, let's bring it up to date a little bit from just a few years ago and hear how they sound today, and they sound really remarkably good. Yes, so the Jets, the Cotton Brothers, Yes Tonight, Josephine, still one of the tracks I enjoy listening to. Let's see what's last.
Half a Boy and Half a Man, by Nick Lowe.
Nick Lowe, Half a Boy and Half a Man. This one comes from a couple of 3 years later than the others. What have I got here? Midnight Dynamos by Matchbox, that was 1980. Rockabilly Guy, Rock This Town, and Yes Tonight, Josephine, they were all 3 of those were from 81, and this comes from 84. And it was a surprising flop for Nick Lowe, this song. It just didn't really, score big like a lot of his other things had done. If you're not sure, Nick Lowe, he was a big collaborator with Elvis Costello and Dave Edmunds. He was like the main guy in pub rock legends, Brinsley Schwartz. The video for this one I've linked down below. It is a little bit dated, it has to be said, but everybody looks like they're having a fantastic old time in it. It's it is sort of a time capsule of what 80s music and fashion might have looked like. You might spot in the video for this one a very young looking Paul Carrack playing a fantastic Vox Continental organ part, which just gives it a really deliciously cheesy edge to, what was it I said earlier? Oh yes, foot stomping catchy rock and roll, or thereabouts. It's just a great song, and it's one of those songs that just puts a big silly bloody grin on me face whenever I listen to it. So you can be in the worst mood in the world, but listen to this song and you're kind of chuckling by the end of it, and that's why it's on the list. Anyway, those, ladies and gentlemen, are my choices for my 5 favourite early 80s rock and roll or rockabilly songs. Give them a listen, see what you think, let me know in the comments, or maybe there's some that you think I've missed, or maybe you've got a list of your own, whatever. Leave it all down in the comments, and if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe and notification bell and all that sort of good stuff. But that is it for today, folks. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We talk about stuff. Beer. Well, we drink beer and we talk about stuff, mainly music and guitars, but anything goes really. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.